It often begins in the smallest of ways. You walk into a room and forget why, or you stand by the cupboard wondering where you placed your glasses. The house is quiet. The afternoon light rests softly across the floor, and yet somewhere in that stillness, the mind feels like a fogged window. The picture is there, but slightly blurred. For many, reaching the age of 70 brings this gentle unease, the awareness that memory, once so quick, so clear, now moves like an old clock whose hands slow with time. But what if this slowing wasn't just loss? What if it was the body's invitation to listen, to care, to begin a new kind of nourishment? Memory, after all, is not just stored in the brain. It's written into the rhythms of how we live. It hides in the foods we eat, in the air we breathe, in the moments we allow ourselves to rest. Over the years, we've learned to treat forgetfulness as something to fear, a sign that something precious is slipping away. But perhaps memory isn't leaving us. Perhaps it's asking us to meet it halfway. There are ways, natural, gentle, grounded in the earth's wisdom, that help the mind stay sharp, alive, and deeply connected even after 70. These are not miracles, but mindful habits, small daily acts that feed the brain the same way love feeds the heart. Imagine standing by your kitchen counter one morning, brewing a cup of green tea. The steam curls upward like a soft breath. The scent carries with it a sense of calm and clarity. You take that first sip, and without realizing, you're giving your brain what it quietly longs for: antioxidants, warmth, peace. The mind, like the garden, thrives when tended, and tending it even at 70 is not about reclaiming youth. It's about honoring memory as a living thing, deserving of care, patience, and presence.
In this story, we will wander through 6 natural ways that help protect the beauty of your memory, not through harsh routines or complex pills, but through the simplicity of living well. Because the truth is, even as years gather behind us, the mind can still bloom. And sometimes all it needs is a bit of sunlight, a mindful choice, and the belief that it's never too late to remember ourselves again. There's something deeply comforting about the way nature holds answers in silence. The leaves don't rush to grow. The rivers don't force their flow. They move at their own rhythm, steady, patient, timeless. And perhaps the same is true for the mind. As we age, memory doesn't fade out of cruelty. It simply begins to ask for gentler care. The first of these care-filled ways lies in what we feed ourselves, not just for the body, but for the mind's quiet machinery. Omega-rich foods like walnuts and salmon are like oil for the gears of thought, keeping them turning smoothly, preventing the rust that time often brings. Every bite of such nourishment feels like a promise whispered to your brain: I'm taking care of you. And then there is movement, not the kind that exhausts or pushes, but the kind that invites energy to flow again. A morning walk beneath golden sunlight, the soft crunch of leaves underfoot, a slow stretch of the arms. Each movement stirs oxygen through the body and into the brain, awakening the mind's fading corners. It's a natural medicine of motion, and it doesn't require perfection, only presence. As you walk, memories return unbidden. The smell of old rain, a familiar song, the laughter of a loved one long gone. You begin to realize that the mind, when gently stirred, still remembers how to dance. Then there's the quiet strength of herbs, ginkgo biloba, rosemary, sage, ancient companions of memory. In their scent, there's something almost spiritual, as if the earth itself has kept these leaves to help us remember what time tries to take away. A cup of rosemary tea on a still afternoon does more than comfort the senses. It sends tiny sparks of vitality through the brain, awakening the pathways where memories sleep.
And yet, the most powerful thing of all might not be in what we consume or do, but how we think. When we choose curiosity over fear, gratitude over worry, our mind begins to open again, like a window letting in fresh air. Memory, after all, is not just recollection. It's the art of staying awake to life. And at 70, that art is still yours to master. The world still holds stories for you to see, scents for you to remember, and songs that your heart can hum in quiet recognition. There's a quiet ache that comes with forgetting, not just the misplaced keys or forgotten names, but the moments that once defined us. The laughter around a dinner table, the smell of a loved one's perfume, the song that once played softly on a distant radio. When these fragments fade, it can feel like pieces of ourselves are slipping away with them. But memory, in its deepest sense, is not simply what we recall, it's what remains imprinted on the heart. Even when the details blur, the feelings stay, like faint echoes of love that time can't quite erase. For many, reaching 70 and beyond brings an awareness of how fragile memory can be. Some mornings, it feels like wading through fog, trying to grasp what used to be clear. Yet in this vulnerability lies an unexpected tenderness. It invites us to reconnect with ourselves, with others, with life's quiet rhythms. The simple act of talking, sharing stories with a friend or a grandchild, becomes more than conversation. It becomes a lifeline for the mind. Every story told reawakens old neural pathways, strengthening memory not through effort, but through emotion. Science may call it cognitive reinforcement, but the soul knows it as connection. And then there's the mind's need for stillness, meditation, prayer, or simply sitting by the window, watching the world move gently by. When you give the mind permission to rest, it rewards you with clarity. Stress, after all, is one of memory's greatest thieves. The more anxious we are, the less our mind can hold. But when we slow down, when we breathe deeply and release the tension we've carried for decades, something magical happens. The fog begins to lift. The mind, like a pond undisturbed, begins to reflect clearly again. Nature has always known this secret. Look at a tree. Each ring inside it tells a story of time, struggle, and endurance. Memory, too, has rings, moments that define us, protect us, sustain us. Even as the outer layers age, the core remains strong. So when you forget small things, don't see it as decline. See it as the mind's way of making room, clearing space for peace, simplicity, and what truly matters. Because in the end, it's not about remembering everything, it's about remembering what's worth holding close. It takes time, and often age, to understand that memory is not just stored in the mind, it's woven through the heart, the body, and the soul.
When you reach 70, you begin to realize that remembering isn't just about mental sharpness. It's about how deeply you live your moments. The foods you choose, the walks you take, the laughter you share, each one becomes a thread in the great tapestry of your memory. The mind does not stand alone. It feeds on movement, light, connection, and calm. To protect it is to care for the whole of who you are. There is a simple wisdom in returning to what's natural, in choosing a handful of blueberries instead of a sugary snack, a cup of green tea instead of another pill, a moment of silence instead of another hour of worry. These small acts, repeated over time, become a kind of daily devotion to your own clarity. Berries feed your brain with antioxidants, just as sunlight feeds your mood. Even the smell of herbs like sage or rosemary while cooking sends gentle signals to awaken your senses, telling the brain that life is still vibrant, still rich with meaning. The simplest routines, done mindfully, become forms of medicine, rituals of remembering.
And beyond what you eat or drink, there's the way you engage with the world. Reading, learning a new song, painting, even talking to someone new. These are the gentle sparks that keep the brain alive. The neurons light up, forming bridges across time. You might not think of it as prevention, but it is. Every new experience is an act of resistance against forgetfulness. Your mind doesn't retire when you do. It still craves wonder. But perhaps the most profound way to preserve memory is through love. Studies may speak of neural pathways and brain chemicals, but love, genuine, deep human connection, keeps the soul awake. A warm hug, a shared meal, a heartfelt conversation. These moments are memory's strongest anchors. They remind the brain that life is still happening, still beautiful, still worth remembering. You come to see that preventing memory loss isn't about clinging to what's fading, but about staying deeply alive to what still is. Because the mind, when nourished by care, still knows how to hold on. There comes a morning, perhaps one softer than most, when you sit by the window with your tea, watching sunlight spill quietly across the garden. The air is still, yet alive with the hum of distant life. Birds, wind, the faint rustle of leaves. You take a sip, and in that small pause, you realize that memory is not something you need to chase. It's already here, breathing in every moment you allow yourself to fully live. The mind, though slower, still holds a quiet brilliance. It remembers what truly matters, not the dates or the details, but the feelings, the faces, the warmth of a life well lived. With every passing year, you learn that remembering isn't only about the past. It's also about being present, about noticing the way morning light touches your skin, the taste of fresh fruit, the sound of laughter from the next room. When you live with awareness, you give your mind something precious to hold on to. And that, more than any supplement or pill, keeps memory alive. The natural ways, the herbs, the movement, the nourishing foods, the peace of stillness, all guide you back to one truth. The brain thrives when the heart is at peace. Maybe after 70, the goal isn't to preserve every memory, but to live so meaningfully that even forgetting feels gentle. You learn to forgive the moments that slip away, knowing they made room for new ones, softer, quieter, filled with grace. You begin to understand that every breath you take, every choice you make to live with care, is itself a way of remembering who you are.
So let your life, from this day forward, be your greatest memory, one filled with laughter, nourishment, and calm. Let your mind wander, but gently, like a river that always finds its way home. Because maybe growing older isn't about holding on to everything. It's about learning which moments deserve to stay and trusting that love will help you remember the rest. Maybe growing older isn't about the years we've lived, but the love we've finally learned to hold.